Good afternoon and welcome to this week's Great Sacred Music. The imagery of sheep in the Bible is rich and multifaceted, symbolizing God's people, innocence, vulnerability, and the sacrificial role of Christ. The concept of the shepherd is central to the relationship between God and his people, with Jesus often portrayed as the good shepherd who leads, protects and sacrifices his flock. The use of sheep as a metaphor for the people of God emphasizes care, guidance, and redemption through the biblical narrative. So today at Great Sacred Music, we'll be exploring this idea through settings of both biblical and non-biblical texts. We began just now with a setting of Psalm 23 by Schubert, "The Lord's my shepherd." It's our tradition at Great Sacred Music to begin by singing a hymn together. "Abide with Me" is widely known for its moving melody and poignant lyrics. The hymn was written by Henry Francis Lyte, an Anglican priest and poet, and has become one of the most beloved hymns in both Christian worship and secular contexts, particularly at times of grief, loss, and remembrance. Lyte wrote the hymn in 1847 when he was serving as the vicar of the parish of Lower Brixham in Devon. At the time, he was suffering from tuberculosis, which eventually led to his early death just 3 weeks after completing the hymn. The hymn reflects his personal sense of mortality and his need for God's presence in times of suffering and uncertainty. So we'll remain seated as the voices stand and lead "Abide with Me," which you'll find on the inside of your sheet. And now another setting of Psalm 23. There are a number of themes that run through this psalm, central to this being the metaphor of God as a shepherd. The shepherd's role is to protect, guide, and provide for the sheep, and David uses this image to convey the care and guidance of God in the believer's life. Secondly, the psalm conveys that with God's care, the believer finds peace, rest, and abundant provision, both material and spiritual. Thirdly, comfort, even in the darkest times, symbolized by the words in the psalm, the valley of the shadow of death. The psalmist finds comfort in the knowledge that God is with him, protecting him and guiding him through the difficulties of life. And finally, Psalm 23 ends with the assurance of God's eternal presence and blessings, suggesting that this care is not only for this life, but will continue forever. Gerald Cohen is an American composer and synagogue cantor in New York. Adonai Ro'i, which we're about to sing, is perhaps Cohen's best-known work. It was originally a solo and accompanied melody, composed on the loss of a friend and congregant who died at the age of 42. Cohen himself sang it to her funeral and explains that he chose Psalm 23 as it's traditionally sung at Jewish funerals, memorial services, and he composed it in about 30 minutes due to the emotions induced by his friend's death. He wanted to sing it at his own mother's funeral in 2003. After the addition of a piano accompaniment, the piece has been performed by cantors throughout the US, both in services in concert, as well as in a choral arrangement, which we'll be singing now. So Adonai Ro'i, Psalm 23 by Gerald Cohen.
Alleluia.
Our next piece is a setting from William Blake's Songs of Innocence, a collection of poems first published in 1789. It's one of Blake's most famous works, and it represents his vision of the world as seen through the eyes of children. The collection explores themes such as childhood, nature, spirituality, and the contrast between innocence and experience. It paints an idealized picture of the world where the speaker finds joy in simplicity and finds a close connection to nature and God. The poems are characterized by their musicality, simplicity, and optimistic tone. In The Lamb, in the first stanza, the speaker, a child, asks the lamb who made it, showing wonder and curiosity about the lamb's creation. The lamb's depicted as living in a peaceful, idyllic world where it feeds by streams and meadows, its clothing made of softest wool, and its voice is tender, making the valleys rejoice. In the second stanza, the speaker provides an answer to the earlier questions. Jesus Christ is the one who created the lamb. It's a simple yet profound poem that connects the natural world with divine spirituality. Here we sing it in a setting by Zuzanna Koziej, a Polish composer and arranger. We're now going to swap around the final two choir pieces. So next, All We Like Sheep from Handel's Messiah. Handel composed Messiah in a matter of weeks in September 1741. It premiered to a large and appreciative audience in Dublin on April the 13th, 1742, as part of a major Handel concert series. By this time, Handel was thoroughly convinced by the dramatic and edifying power of the oratorio to convey God's word to a large audience. When a friend approached him after the premiere to congratulate him on, quote, such a beautiful piece of entertainment, Handel was indignant. Entertainment, he reportedly exclaimed, that was not written for entertainment, it was written for education. In Messiah, Handel dramatizes Christ's nativity, passion, resurrection, and ascension. The chorus we're about to sing, All We Like Sheep, comes from part 2. The text of this piece comes from Isaiah chapter 53. Handel begins with a light, lilting texture to reflect the wandering of the sheep, with a repetitive choral pattern that creates a feeling of drifting and lostness. As the choir moves through the phase, we have turned every one to his own way, the music conveys a sense of human folly and disobedience. The contrasting final line, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all, brings a sense of resolution and redemption as the music becomes more grounded and focused.
Lord
And so it's nearly time to sing our next hymn together, which you'll find on the inside of your sheets. The King of Love is a paraphrase of Psalm 23 and was written by Henry Williams Baker, an English clergyman and hymn writer, also known for the hymns Bread of Heaven on Thee We Feed and We Love the Place, O God. He was also involved in the Church of England's efforts to create more accessible worship resources for ordinary churchgoers, emphasising the importance of musical participation in worship. This hymn, The King of Love, was first published in 1868. There's two different tunes, Dominus Regit Me, which is perhaps best known through wedding services, but today we'll be singing the tune St. Columba, an Irish folk song. This melody is often linked to the Irish Saint Columba, who was known for his missionary work. So we'll remain seated as the voices stand and lead The King of Love, My Shepherd Is. Thank you for joining us for Great Sacred Music for today. On your way out, there's an opportunity to donate to a retiring collection, which really helps us as we grow and build the music programme here at St Martin's. If you haven't got cash, don't worry, there's a number of ways to give on the back of your sheet, from QR codes to text message giving. There is no escape. Please do join us again for Great Sacred Music next week, every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and you'll see the themes on the front of your sheet, and for our Choral Classics programme every Sunday at 3:15. The music of Carl Jenkins blends traditional classical elements with influences from various world music traditions, creating a unique and accessible style. His works include Adiemus and The Armed Man, A Mass for Peace. The piece we'll be finishing Great Sacred Music with today, The Shepherd, again sets words from Blake's Songs of Innocence. In this simple and beautiful poem, Blake explores the theme of the innocence and joy associated with the figure of the shepherd, reflecting on his life of devotion and care for his sheep. Thanks for joining us.